Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Room Number 9. Last time we started really, truly, abusing Daichi. Maybe we'll get the chance to destroy him, I don't know, I hope so. But, yeah, this should be fun. I'm excited to hurt him some more, so let's just get right back into it. I think last time we stuck a nail into his hand. It wasn't as gruesome as I was hoping, but I'm sure it'll get more gruesome. We can pray.
平気平気ほら
Blood stops flowing when pressure is applied. Thanks, I didn't know. What? And the wound was so small it tapered off almost immediately. When I pressed it with gauze, only the tiniest red spot appeared. I tossed the gauze into the garbage can, and Seiji brought me an adhesive bandage. One flat sheet wrapped all the way around the base of my thumb. It wasn't going anywhere.
これマジ万能
俺も家に常備するかな
This was one of the rare things we learned about in here that seemed like it'd actually be useful outside.
腕の傷ももうかなりいいしこっちもすぐ良くなるよ
ならいいけどこっち戻してくれ
I watched him walk off with the camera and nail on the tray. He had what? Okay, he had broad shoulders but walked with a bit of a slouch. I don't know why you're talking about his broad shoulders suddenly. He always had ever since middle school. Seiji was a diligent student because he'd always liked studying and reading, and he'd always had that slight slouch. Slouch? Slouch. What's a slouch? Slouch? I'd always figured he was a total indoor... I think it means slouch. It's a typo. He was a total indoor kid, but I was wrong. All sorts of clubs would invite him to do activities with them. He might have gotten taller since then, but he was still the same amazing person he always was. And always would be.
なあ茶飲む
沸かしといて
He filled the kettle with tap water and turned it on. It occurred to me that the nail was just in there. It made me wonder if some of the iron leached out of it. That's supposed to be good for you, right? I don't think so. I mean, not directly from the metal. My palm was warm and throbbing with pain. My arm, on the other hand, was kinda itchy. It was actually pretty hard to make a cup of coffee with one arm. Opening up a packet of coffee and setting up the filter just right was no easy task. My hands stung with every movement. But it wasn't an unbearable pain, it was just proof that I was still alive.
やっぱり俺が入れる
Seiji came back in while I was fumbling with the coffee. Well, of course I wasn't any good at it. I hardly make coffee under normal circumstances.
それよりポイント確認して
The aroma of the coffee began to fill the room, replacing the scent of blood and disinfectant. That's all it took to make the room smell human. After I finished with that, I opened up a tea bag for myself. I've never been a fan of coffee. I even used a lot of milk and sugar with my tea. There weren't any girls I needed to impress here after all. Oh my gosh, are you too afraid to have milk with your tea?
今ついた
Usually?
81ポイント
So we only have 2 tasks left. We're barely gonna get a chance to hurt Daichi anymore.
あと2日だな
2 more days of fun. If you guys want some fun, because it could be fun, but you guys plan. It forced me to think about what we've been made to do tomorrow. If possible, I wanted to go with my task again. That would be the right choice. Seiji, we're still going to be friends after this. You should still be friends regardless. You know, imagine if your best friend stopped talking to you because you had to do some weird butt stuff with them in a room. You know? Imagine if they just stopped talking to you afterwards. Wouldn't you be so pissed? What kind of best friend would that be? Day 9. Freedom was so close. We just had to survive 2 more tasks. Yet the options we were given weighed heavy on our hearts. The options were beyond cruel. Okay, here we go with the finger amputation. Alright, love that. We love cutting off people's fingers in this YouTube channel. Subject B must be brought through a wall. Okay, we've seen that. Subject A must through a walls. Okay, we've seen that. Alright. Okay. Alright. I don't know if... Will they give us a choice? I don't think so. I didn't even read that. What did it say? The options were beyond cruel. Actually, I already read that, I think. What do I want to do with Seiji? What do I want to make him do? All we could do is sigh. Crap. I thought we could do my test 2 days in a row, but cutting off a finger was going a little too far. If it were up to me, I wouldn't even really care if one finger's all it took. I'd give it up, but I knew Seiji would never agree. He wasn't the kind of person who could cut off... Imagine this being an actual discussion. Like, imagine this being an actual quandary. Like, you're not sure what you should do when presented with these options. Can you even imagine? Your friend's like, okay, we're gonna have to cut off your finger because I don't want anything up my butt. Like, what? Like, how self-centered and awful must you be to even accept that no matter how much Daichi would plead? You'd have to be the worst person in the world. I don't even know. He wasn't the kind of person who could cut off someone's finger and still be okay. I'd already asked almost too much of him, yeah, because he'd be the one suffering if you cut off his finger. I mean, if he cut off your finger. Which meant...
どっちがいい?
No, I want to cut off his finger. So, despite everything that I just said, I want to cut off Daichi's finger. I want him to suffer. Seiji looked away as he thought. Even in a moment like that, he was effortlessly attractive. He brought his hand to his lips almost like he might if he were smoking. That's it. I decided to spend a point on getting him a carton of cigarettes, assuming he wanted to smoke. I checked the details of the tasks. I read it over and over, but every time I read it, an icy cold sensation pierced my heart. The cross-dressing option only required Seiji to, you know, but I still had to penetrate him. Could Seiji even come under those circumstances? I was pretty sure I could. How do you know? Have you done it before? How do you know for sure? That's a weird thing to say. I'm pretty sure if I did anal, I know I could come. But I don't know if Seiji can. But it was asking a lot from Seiji if his butt got hurt or something. Plus, like, I really didn't want to, debase him. I didn't want to force him to wear women's clothes. I didn't really know why, but there was just something especially repulsive about being asked to do that while making Seiji cross-dress. The choking one only seemed to require me to, you know, and specified that they'd confirm that his face turned red. He didn't have to be knocked out. That one might be slightly easier on Seiji at least. Even if we went with the other option, if he couldn't, you know, it'd all be for nothing. But even if we went with the choking one, it had the caveats that Seiji's hands needed to be bound, and I had to keep choking him throughout the act. Could I do something that terrifying? Could I come doing that? You did already, so... 3, the one where I had to choke Seiji while having anal sex with him until I come? Don't make your eyes that narrow. When presented with the choice between doing the embarrassing option and doing the painful one, he picked the painful one, because he's dumbass. I couldn't really blame him.
でもその手で首絞めるのは難しいな。
It wasn't like I couldn't do it. I could endure some pain, and if that's what Seiji wanted to do, I could fight through it, but I really didn't want to choke Seiji. I felt bad for all the times I made Seiji hurt me, but I couldn't do it. And there's no way I could come under those circumstances. And yeah, how is he going to get a proper grip around Seiji's throat? He won't, is the point.
夜
Really? We're doing that one? We're just basically going to skip through that scene then, if that's what we're doing. I hope the meaning of my timid final comment had gotten through to him. That we'd do the cross-dressing one later that evening. Seiji nodded awkwardly. And then all I was left to do was wait. It seemed like a good time for alcohol. I made myself a Coke highball with what was, let's party, with what was in the fridge, and a small bottle from the minibar. Seiji didn't drink, so I just poured him a Coke and only put alcohol in mine. I caught him frowning at me. Don't worry, Seiji. I can still perform you if I've had a few drinks. Don't worry, little Daichi here, he'll be standing at attention pretty soon. Have they ever used that transition before? It just seems so Windows Movie Maker. Have they used it before? I don't remember it, but maybe they have and I'm just crazy. But it wasn't getting me buzzed even a little. I mean, it was awful. But my body felt a little warm and fuzzy, but it wasn't doing anything for my mind. My brain kept jumping between random thoughts. Maybe this is what people mean when they talk about their life flashing before their eyes.
お前さ、覚えてる？
Yeah, we're gonna get some backstory maybe?
何？
俺、高校なんて行く気全然なくてさ、働いて一人暮らししようって決めてた。
Typically, I wouldn't use an ancient story like that to break the ice, even when I was at my drunkest.
でもさ、ちゃんと勉強しろ、高校行けって言ってくれたの、お前。
I could never forget it, and I wanted to make sure he remembered it too, before who knew what happened between us.
先生だって言ったろ。施設の人も。
俺みたいなのが行かないって言ったら、そう、残念ねって終わりだよ、普通は。
No one around me had any expectations for me. I didn't even have expectations for myself. Even my parents kept telling me that studying was pointless, and I internalized all that. I figured that I could get out of middle school and land a job and just live free. That'd be just peachy. Not to mention how ever since I was a kid, I had a hard time imagining myself in the future. There was a teacher I really adored in elementary school, but I'd never considered becoming one myself.
そんなことない。高校行かないとダメだって言ってくれたの、お前だけだよ。
It was a little embarrassing to remember. I was such a dumb kid back then. I gave up on everything because of how my parents were.
お前、本当しつこくて俺参ったもん。もういいっつったのに。
覚えてねえな。
何回言っても無理やり参考書とか持ってきてさ、勉強するぞって。
覚えてない。
He looked away awkwardly. He really didn't seem to remember. He's clearly lying. Seiji pestered me to go to high school forever. He did all sorts of research for me. Someone with no money or parents to figure out how I could, even though I never asked him to. Not to mention how he even gave me his brother's old reference books and offered to go to the library with me to get me to study. He was so persistent, but it made me think he was a really good person.
俺なら絶対できるって。同じ高校行こうって。
He taught me that there really were good people in this world, and that the world where such amazing people lived was just within my grasp.
俺さ、お前とは出来が違うし、住む世界も違うんだって言っちゃったことあるよな。
だっけ。
そしたら、やる前に決めつけんなって。俺のこと信じてるって言ったの。
And trust him I did. That's why I tried, and he was right. I could do it if I put my mind to it. That's what made me start to dream about the future. What made me want to become a teacher like the one who had left such an impression on me as a kid.
本当あん時、ありがとう。ごめんな。
I couldn't give voice to the rest of it. My chest was bursting with pain and sorrow and joy from back then. That's why I went to high school and studied my butt off and had to work so hard to get into college, even knowing I'd have to take on student loans. You made me believe in my future. That's the only reason I've gotten so far.
俺も、お前のこと信じてるから、ずっと。
Well, let's see if you're still saying that after the conclusion of this route, because 2 tasks is all it's gonna take to end this friendship, apparently. It always has.
お前はすごいよ。
Huh? Did he just praise me?
褒めんなよ。照れるじゃねえか。
いつだって誰とでも親しくなれて、どこにでも馴染めて。
Well, that was just a survival strategy from when I was a kid. So my alcoholic F-head of a dad wouldn't kill me. And once he was gone, I wouldn't have had a long life left to live if I didn't buddy up to my mom's boyfriends.
お前が本当は頭のいいやつだってすぐに分かった。 それにタフでいつも前向きで裏表がなくて人のことを恨んだり憎んだりしないしすごいと思うよ。
だから褒めすぎ。
What's gotten into him? This is so embarrassing. How do you even deal with someone heaping praise on you for just doing the obvious thing?
ちゃんと自覚してもっと自信持て。自分を安売りして誰とでも軽く付き合うな。
うるせえ、言い過ぎ。
すぐ結婚しようって言わない。
それは関係ないだろ。
That's my best friend for you. I didn't even know what to say.
これからも仲良くして。
何今さら。
I wasn't looking him in the face when I said it, but I was still terrified to voice it. Would we still be friends after this evening? I had plenty of girlfriends before and had sex with most of them, but this was different. I had a hard time imagining I could have the same kind of deep friendship with someone who was the object of my sexual desire. What is up with that? Girl, that's because you couldn't imagine doing that with someone you have sex with because you think about having sex with women, even though you're gay, because you're confused. So of course you can't think about that. You know, your whole brain is confused. I'd had girlfriends who I'd been friends with before dating them and after breaking up, but it was never the same after we dated. Which is why I'd never done something like that with a close friend before. Or really, it was more like I felt that it was something you really shouldn't do with a close friend. Can I remain the same? Can I remain the same person I've always been? The room's changed me. I'm not the same human being anymore. Hey. Things were awkward as we waited for evening to come. Seiji was working up a light sweat on the treadmill. So, you know, I was also on Twitter, I think yesterday or something, and I saw a new game being made by these people called, it was like called something like LYKT or something. I mean, the art in it looked nice, and the characters looked interesting, and then I wondered, would I really be willing to play another game from this developer and have it be just as much of a mess? Like, I don't know if it would be, but I don't know. Because it looked interesting, but can we really trust them? I don't know. The game's not even out yet, so... Seiji was working up a light sweat on the treadmill. I, on the other hand, was noticing that my hand was a little inflamed. The wound was a little swollen, but I guess that was only to be expected. I was pierced all the way through, and a little inflammation isn't always a bad sign. It happens when your immune system's doing its job too, after all. As long as it wasn't starting to fester, all I could really do was deal with it. And so night eventually came. I was impressed that we both managed to get dinner down. Okay, well, maybe Seiji should have skipped dinner.
風呂先入ってくれ。
He said it so casually, but it made my heart jump. It made me go toki doki. I guess it's already time. I wondered why things always had to be like this as I stood under the hot water of the shower. What would become of us? Hey, Seiji. Nothing's going to change after this, okay? Well, you're the one who literally makes things change. Because you literally start acting like the only thing you can think about is sex. Like, it's so crazy. Like, it's just a total 180 every time. There's just a certain point in the route where there's just a total 180 in the characters' minds. And there's no really perceivable reason it happens. It just happens. So stupid. Just that learn to write, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I bathed myself in hot water that stung my skin and made it red. Almost like I was trying to punish myself. Then I turned the temperature down, making it just right for when Seiji would use it next.
開いた。
Seiji spent an awfully long time in the shower. I guess he must have had a lot to do, washing his body inside and out and preparing himself mentally. I've been in this position, waiting for someone to get out of the shower like this, plenty of times before. Guess this goes without saying, but it was always a girl, and if she was taking a long time, I'd hop in with her to fool around some. But I couldn't do that today. You could. I sat on the bed like I was glued to the sheets, and didn't move a muscle. I'm pretty sure... Did we kiss this route? No, I don't think we did. I want to say we didn't kiss this route. I think we didn't. You know, I wonder if this is how women feel before their first time. This is literally not your first time even having sex with Seiji, so what are you talking about? I prepared myself mentally as strange thoughts drifted through my head. I was pretty sure this situation was much more dour than a girl about to have sex with a boy she liked for the very first time, though. I guess we'll just have to get through it somehow. Uh-oh, well, looks like I can skip ahead now, so I'll see you guys in hell. Bye. Alright, welcome back. I didn't bring you back in hell, I brought you back to just here. We had the scene. It was pretty much all old. There was like a couple lines of new dialogue. It was just like Daichi being like, "Oh, I swear that we'll still be friends after this." He thought this to himself. He was like, "I swear we'll still be friends no matter what." And that was pretty much it. And then they did the moaning. Oh, there was so much moaning. Well, that's why I skipped through it. Anyway. What? Silence. The food didn't really taste like anything anymore. And looking at the tasks had become routine. It's literally the last day. You should be like jumping around, having fun, get on the treadmill, turn the incline on high, do some moonwalking on it, you know? Like, partay. I'd grown tired of freaking out every time we looked at them, and Seiji didn't really seem to care about anything. I really hated how they seemed to have noticed that and upped the cruelty farther. Oh man. It's like, update some of these lines because they don't make any sense. Made the tasks crueler. First of all, one of those tasks is the same as last time. Second of all, that task is literally not difficult even remotely. So, at least based on what it says here, so. Just like, what do you mean made it crueler? Update some of these lines, because these are the same lines I read last time. And maybe last time the task was at least cruel, I don't remember. This wasn't exactly news, but these a-holes were totally insane. I think they should check themselves into a mental hospital. Girl! Just clean out his rectum. Why did it have to be like this? An enema? Seriously? Also, someone said last time that pubic hair is considered a sign of masculinity or something in Japan. So that's why during one of the tasks where Daichi had to shave Seiji, it seemed like it was such a hard task or something. And apparently that's why, because getting it shaved off is feminine or something? I don't even... It's so stupid. Everything is so stupid. Like, even if that is the case, like, who cares, you know? It's just... Who cares about your femininity or masculinity or holding on to it? Like, seriously? Toxic masculinity. Why did it have to be like this, Cinema? Seriously? I glanced over at Seiji sitting in one of the chairs. I sat on the side of the bed to look at the tablet. He was sipping his coffee, watching whatever was on the TV with a distant look on his face. I was going to have to give the man who was looking handsome as ever an enema. Why are you simping? I have to give that handsome man an enema. Like, what? Something about that comically awful word and act just didn't mesh. Why are you acting? I hate this. I probably said this 4 times before, before every time I had to give him an enema, with all the times I've replayed this game, but I still can't get over this. Anyway, it didn't mesh with the attractive figure sitting on the other side of the room. It's just an enema. Back when we were in higher spirits, we might have been able to laugh and joke about it, but now all that could be felt was the weight of what they were asking. They were asking me to stick something in his butt and then watch him poop himself. Great. I didn't even have to look at the detailed instructions to know what kind of effed up thing they were after.
Sakenna yo, kuso!
Girl, calm down. My building anger spilled out of my mouth. Normally Seiji would have scolded me not to use foul language. Why did that make him laugh? I glared at him for a second as he nearly spit out his coffee.
いや笑い事じゃねえから
No, it's actually kind of ridiculously funny. Come on, Seiji, this is no time to laugh. I didn't want to attack him for it, but I didn't want to gloss over the situation with laughter entirely. My objection came out sounding a lot angrier than I'd intended.
笑った方がいいだろ
But he just looked at me with an exhausted face and laughed, the opposite of what I wanted.
う。これで終わりなんだ。やるよ。
He'd cornered me with that beautifully calm statement, tinged with a hint or resignation. My lips just flapped vacantly.
いやでもだからさ
But then your intestines will be so clean and sparkly. We can't have that. I guess, is what we're afraid of if we do the enema. Wait, take my finger. Take my finger so you can keep your crap inside you. You don't want to pass your crap yet. You know, you want to hold on to that. You want to hold on to that for a couple more days until it just gets really huge inside of you, and then you bleed when you pass it. You don't want to pass your stool right now, you know? That's what I should have said. Take my left hand or even a leg. I wouldn't mind. Imagine you actually went in here with like a gay guy that was actually out instead of in the closet like these two, and he's used to doing enemas, and you guys get this task, and then the gay guy is just like, no, I don't want to do an enema. Cut off your finger. I don't feel like doing an enema today. I don't feel like it. Just lose a finger, honey. It'll grow back. Oh my god, I hate this game. I hate these characters. Anyway, that's what I should have said. I already think I said that. How could I convince him? He just, God, he has such a slappable face right now. I really want to give him the back of my hand. I want to make him bleed. I'm telling you guys, I want to make Daichi bleed. Anyway, how could I convince him? He'd just turn around and reject anything I said to that effect, which is why I needed a strong argument. An argument strong enough to convince him that it'd be okay to destroy my body like that. I was up against Seiji, though. He was way smarter than me, and annoying as it was, he was a lot more charming. You're at a party, you know, 1 year from now, and someone notices you're missing a finger, and you tell them, well, yeah, my friend didn't want to clean out his rectum, so I decided to chop off my finger, you know? I thought they were pretty equal, you know? So that's what I did. You know, that's a really good party conversation starter. He'd be absolutely opposed to hurting me. If he put his brilliant mind to it, he could persuade me out of anything, and I would eat it up, hook, line, and sinker. Damn it, I had nowhere to run. There was no way I could find the words to convince him. Can we just get on with it already? Because am I gonna have to skip through the duty scene again? I think I am. I couldn't allow myself just to give up because of that, but I knew I wouldn't be able to convince him either.
実際どうなんだろうな。
He leaned back in his chair and forced an impotent smile.
例えばお前の指を切って書いてある通りにここから出られたとして。でももうそんなものなくても忘れられないような気もするし。ここまで来て今更クソするくらいなんだって気もするし。
You could also just, you know, poop beforehand. But Seiji never thought that far ahead. I don't know why. He closed his eyes and tilted his face to the ceiling as he spoke. He seemed to be thinking about something, like he was trying to convince himself. He looked sleepy and exhausted, but he met my gaze. I was tired too, of course, but finally today, all this hurting each other would be over.
やっぱり俺はお前の指を切りたくはないよ。
I bet right now Seiji's just like, hell, if we're gonna do this task, we're gonna do it right. I'm not. I kind of need to do number 2 right now, but I'm saving it for this task tonight. I bet that's what he's doing, because he exploded. You guys remember that task? I know you can't watch it now. Some of you I don't think probably have ever watched it, but because even when I upload it to Google Drive, it gets taken down real fast. I don't know why. Like, I don't... Who's moderating Google Drive? Seriously, who's moderating private files on Google Drive? That's so weird. That is so weird. Like, are people that click on the link that I put on Twitter, are they reporting it to Google? And that's why it's getting flagged and banned? Like, I still don't fully understand, because Google Drive is private files, you know? So it's so strange to me that even that gets banned on there. Yeah, I don't know. So, what was I saying? Yeah, some of you may not even have ever seen that scene. And, just take my word for it. It's an explosion. There's so much. It's like he hadn't done number 2 in a week. I just really don't want to cut off one of your fingers. Why am I reading that? He spoke in a soft voice, eyes closed. I didn't say anything in response. I just thought and kept on thinking for a long while after about how I could convince him. But tragically, I couldn't think of a damn thing. I wish I'd studied more as a kid. Then maybe I'd be as clever as Seiji. Seiji's an idiot. And ultimately, night came. Well, assuming the clocks and TV could be trusted. Dinner tasted like sand. I tried copying Seiji and drinking some coffee, but it really wasn't for me. My tongue was still immature. That's why I couldn't stand to drink bitter stuff like coffee. And that's probably the same reason I couldn't come up with anything, because I was still a child. Cool. The items for our final task had arrived. This was it. We just had to get through this one last thing. My heart still ached. I would have willingly given up a finger. I desperately wanted to switch tasks, but Seiji wouldn't have allowed it. Which is why I had to do this. I had to hurt Seiji, and then it'd all be over. Ooh, that's our signal to skip ahead. And don't worry guys, I'll bring you back right in the middle of the scene. Can you imagine if I did? Alright, I'm back. Nothing was different in the scene. Not really. I could hear the sounds of the shower through the wall. He's cleaning himself up now after that explosion, and there was a dirty bomb was set off in that bathroom, and he's cleaning it all up. It probably would have been a bad idea to just... You know what? You know how in all the other routes, Seiji cleaned the bathroom afterwards? Right? Do you guys remember that, right? He cleaned the bathroom of all of his stuff afterwards, but... That was because every other time we did this task, it wasn't the very last task. Can you imagine being in there on your hands and knees with no cleaning tools, just water, completely nude, cleaning all of your excrement from the tiles, even though you're about to be set free from the room? It's like, who are you cleaning that for? I guess Abuela, the cleaning lady at the room's gonna be very thankful you cleaned up all your duty before you left. But who are you doing that for? You're not gonna have to go back in that bathroom again, you know? I'm just saying, I don't think it's necessary, but hey, whatever. It probably would have been a bad idea to just go right in. I was scared of hurting Seiji. I mean, Abuela thanks you, you know? So maybe the right answer was to try to talk to him from outside. If that was my best idea, going inside was the only real answer. Awesome. I opened the door and was knocked back by a blast of cold but humid air, and the sound of the shower.
Seiji!
Why is that not voiced? Okay, it just took 10 seconds to say it. I love when the voice lines from Seiji have 10 seconds of nothing before he says the line. I winced a little when he immediately snapped at me, but it was clear that there was no real fight in him. The light in his eyes was dim, his voice weak. He was completely drained of spirit. You'd almost think he was ill. I couldn't leave him alone like that, which is why I walked over to the shower. The inside of the shower booth was spotless. No smell or filth remained, not even a trace of it. I almost thought he'd use some kind of cleaning solution, but the only thing I smelled was body wash. To be honest, I felt relief. Seiji wasn't going to get hurt anymore, but I wasn't sure what to say to him. He huddled in the corner of the glass shower, clutching his knees. He was surrounded by steam. No, that wasn't steam. The air was cold. Is this going to be the same thing where he's trying to end his own life? Oh my god. It should have at least been a little warm. It's not telling me this is old. It's telling me this is new dialogue, so I'm reading it.
Oi!
I ran to the booth in a panic. My feet splashed in the water and the icy cold shower pierced me like needles.
風邪ひくだろ!
Okay, maybe he's not gonna off himself or attempt to. I quickly turned the knob, stopping the cold water, leaving only a trickle streaming from the shower head. Even with the water stopped, anything wet would still be cold. How long had he been sitting under that until I came in? Still curled in on himself, Seiji looked up at me. His eyes reminded me of a hurt puppy. His beautiful, handsome body was reduced to a tiny ball. It was sad looking at him like that.
何やってんだよ! ほら、行くぞ!
When I put my hand on his arm to help him up, it sent a chill up down my spine. He was ice cold. He slapped my hand away and pulled his long legs even closer to his chest, but rather than feeling hurt, it made me look closer was what was in front of me. His tired, heavy breaths, the pained look in his eyes, the way he was curled up in a little ball. Seiji was trying to cool off his body because of what he was hiding between his legs. Oh my god, he does have, wait, does he have the piece of glass, or is that something else between his legs? He didn't want me to see. The fluid must have been tampered with after all. Okay, that's no glass. It should have been obvious from what happened earlier. It'd come up in one of our previous tasks before, that the drug you could sprinkle on your... What? Okay, I'm gonna say hello to the YouTube audience now. They're done with their sounds and whatnot. So, awful. Everything about this was awful. You know, I'm gonna make this the thumbnail instead of the more provocative thumbnail, or from the scene that was on Twitter. Just because I don't like these scenes. So yeah, they kissed during it, but then once they had climax, they started kissing again, and he almost said it was like romantic almost. He didn't say romantic, but it was almost romantic, he said, or something. Something like that. And also, what else? Is there anything else to say? Oh yeah, I don't know how you can make scenes this bad that just have no appeal whatsoever. I think I've said that several times before, but I just had to say it again. So, next scene, or next video, we don't want any more scenes, but next video we'll probably get the ending for this route, and possibly the ending for the other route as well, since it's only a difference of like one choice. So, next video might be the last video for room number 9. Can you guys believe it? We'll be done. I can't believe it. But, thank you all for watching. Bye, guys.